Hey, Dave, I'm really excited for this year's Christmas trivia extravaganza. I can't wait.
What's that?
That was your yearly Christmas tradition. You said you always celebrated Christmas with trivia. We did a whole thing on it last year.
I'm sorry, Chris. I have no idea what you're talking about. We're just going to do our normal episode.
But we did a whole trivia contest. We had a winner. You wrote a song for it. That happened.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys. Two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Two Middle-Aged Guys Trying to Work It All Out. This holiday episode of Two Middle-Aged Guys Trying to Work It All Out. So exciting. With me to celebrate this festive time of year is my good friend...
The Grinch? Oh, I'm just kidding.
But you got me on that one.
For a second there, you're like, wow, did I accidentally invite the Grinch?
Well, you are painted green.
I was like, I was about to say, I was trying to think of an illness that makes you green, but I cannot think of one. Like a liver problem would be yellow. Yeah. There's a blue skin one, but I don't remember what that is. I don't know. A chlorophyll overdose. I don't know. Too many carrots makes you orange.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, yeah. I'm the Hulk. That's it. Merry Christmas and all those other holidays, but mostly Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone out there listening.
I'm just gonna say Merry Christmas. I have minimized the other holidays. I'm sorry.
If anyone else wants to celebrate a different holiday, it's okay by me.
It's okay, sure. No, of course. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Today, we're going to do a topic that's not necessarily holiday themed, but we want to kind of lean into that with a little bit of holiday themed discussion, which is what are our Christmas movie traditions that we have in our families? And Dave, I'll let you start off that conversation. What Christmas movie tradition are you bringing to the table?
Well, I'll talk about a few of them, and I think that most of them are going to be pretty much in line with 80% of the country. Christmas Vacation, of course, right? It's just a classic of the funny Christmas movies. It's the best. I think it's the second best of all Christmas movies. The first best, which is otherwise known as the best, would be It's a Wonderful Life, which we always watch. I do think it's the greatest Christmas movie ever, and the greatest holiday movie ever. We have not watched those two yet, but we will get to them. We also, it's not a tradition, but we did watch White Christmas, which I complain about endlessly as we're watching it, but this year at the end of it, I had to admit to my wife, and we've seen the movie many times, we even saw the live stage production. I said, I actually kind of like this movie. The musical numbers go on and on and on, and it doesn't really have anything to do with Christmas, but there's something sweet about it that I just, in sort of, stage play, old-timey talk, lots of old-timey talk and old-timey acting, and, 60-year-old men acting like, 28-year-old war veterans. There's just something cool about it that I can't help but like. So those are all on the horizon. We watched another one that's not a tradition. I'll just make a mention of Red One, which is a theatrical release Amazon movie that is now on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you don't have to pay for it. It's just there. I would describe Red One as okay, like an inoffensive, not bad, not good. They just showed up on set. They said, "Oh yeah, hey, you're an elf, the big strong kind." He's like, "That's good," or whatever. I don't have a rock. That's my rock impression. And it was fine. It was okay. J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus is pretty good, and he's just not in it enough to carry the film. But it was fine. It will not be a tradition. We both agreed that fine for free. Had we went to the theaters and paid for it. Probably not. Would have been much less excited. But hey, if you got it free, if you got Prime, just check it out. It's have it on in the background. It's actually kind of a neat movie. And I will say, probably two other traditions, and these are the ones that are going to be kind of sort of off label, maybe so to speak. One would be Die Hard. Did you know that's a Christmas movie? No, I'm kidding.
I've
of course,
heard-
I'm so tired.
I've heard
I'm so
rumors.
tired of that. Daddy's Home 2 with Will Ferrell and Marky Mark. Also, Mel Gibson and oh my gosh, my mind just went blank.
John Lithgow?
John Lithgow from Third Rock from the
There's
Sun.
a 2?
Daddy's Home 2, right? So Daddy's Home 1, kind of a funny movie. Will Ferrell plays the Will Ferrell character, the hapless stepdad. Mark Wahlberg plays the super cool, bio dad coming in. Daddy's Home 2 is the Christmas version of that, where Mel Gibson is Mark Wahlberg's dad. Lithgow is John Lovitz. Lithgow is Will Ferrell's dad. Will Ferrell was recast as John Lovitz. It is actually, I'd watch that movie too, but it's actually hilarious because of Mel Gibson and John Lithgow. Mel Gibson has incredible comedic timing. That man is hilarious with good material, and there is good material in this movie. We always watch that. We will get to that. And one other I'll mention, because it is obscure, but it should not be, because this is a good Christmas movie, and that is Merry Friggin' Christmas. Merry Friggin' Christmas is one of, if not the last, but one of the last 2 of Robin Williams' movies that he made before his untimely passing. Stars Joel McHale and Tim Heidecker, and it is a funny movie. It is a heartwarming movie. It actually, it is funny while also without being, patronizing, without being soupy. It's not a Hallmark movie, but it really does tell a story of complicated family dynamics, but not in such a heavy way, though, right? It's not like a Terms of Endearment or Officer and Gentleman or something where you're like going to be crying. No, but it does deal with issues that families have, and even things like alcoholism and things like that. But it's still a really funny but respectful way. Joel McHale is hilarious. Robin Williams is not necessarily playing a comedic role, more of a straight role, but he's very funny in it. Tim Heidecker has a supporting role and is hilarious. It gets the best laughs in the movie, or just Tim Heidecker walking through a scene, looking ridiculous, saying something ridiculous, and you will laugh. So, Merry Friggin' Christmas is one that I recommend. Like, check this movie out. Robin Williams still had it. It was, obviously just a horrible human loss, but a loss to the world of entertainment. I've always said I don't think Robin Williams is a great comedian, but I do believe he is a great actor, and has showed that he could still, even in a sort of a low budget holiday movie, just brought his all and had a great performance. So those are the ones, and we've got a lot of catching up to do over the weekend. I'll probably OD on Christmas trying to get caught up on those films.
So before I go into my list, for Merry Friggin' Christmas, do you know if that's streaming anywhere? Where would we see it if we wanted to go check
that's
that
a good
out?
question. I know I bought it. I do think it's streaming.
Okay. Could you share your username and password right now?
Absolutely. No, well, you know what? We'll put it in the notes where you can stream Merry Friggin'
All right.
Christmas.
Very good.
I gotta watch how I say that word. It comes off. It really is good, and it's like I think it's PG-13. It's not dirty really, but it's. You're not going to like gather around grand kid who's 7 years old and let's watch this. They wouldn't get it. But your older your younger teenagers, they probably would. And there's actually some pretty interesting lessons to be learned. A really interesting classism and elitism message, which is you would not expect such heavy topics, but man, it's handled so well without being preachy. So I really think an awful lot of that movie.
Interesting. All right. Well, for our Christmas movie traditions, you actually touched on one of them in quite a great bit of detail, which is White Christmas.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, that's one of ours. We watch it every year, and I'm a sucker for that movie as well. I mean, it's just classic. And you've got George Clooney's aunt in there as a fantastic performance. Rosemary Clooney.
I knew Rosemary Clooney was George Clooney's. I had no idea she was in the movie.
Yeah, she's the one that falls for. Oh my gosh!
One of the 60-year-olds playing
yes. But I should know his name, Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
She's the one that falls for Bing Crosby. But just a charming movie, and it's one that we use to kind of like usher in the holiday season after a Thanksgiving. So that's on our list. The other
it's so
movie,
sweet, isn't it? The way they're trying to help the general and everything. I mean, listen, the musical numbers they go on too long. Right. And many of them have nothing to do with Christmas at all.
That's fair.
I don't even know what
true.
some of those songs are about, but it is sweet. And I do, you mentioned Rosemary Clooney. I worry for the women in that movie. They all seem very malnourished, right? Like,
yes.
They need to be put on an IV, maybe perhaps a feeding tube immediately, because they've got to be hungry.
Well, their waists were all CGI. I don't know if you knew
I didn't know that. It was early CGI.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, definitely, it's definitely the old Hollywood way of filmmaking, right? Like when they're on the front in World War II, it's like, whoa, that's a very nice painted backdrop you have there. But there's charm to it. It's fantastic performances. The classic song, White Christmas, obviously. It's a great one. It's one of our favorites, so we watched that one. The second movie tradition we have is a very specific one. It is A Christmas Carol, which is probably on many people's lists. However, the George C. Scott version of A Christmas Carol, where he plays Ebenezer Scrooge, is hands down my favorite version of that story. We watch that one every year, and I've always joked that it's one of those things that my children absolutely hate, but when I'm dead and gone, they will look back and be like, oh, I'm so glad we watched that 1,000 times with Dad around the holidays.
Now we're going to watch Scrooged. I've always heard the George C. Scott version is the best. I've never seen it because it's the story.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, but I have heard that from others that is like the best. I don't like that story. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say I don't like that story. It's just it's whatever. I mean, I saw the Mickey Mouse one. I'm good.
Okay, well, I'm a big fan of that story. I think it is one of the most perfect literary examples of a story that you can find. I'm really a big fan of Dickens' Christmas Carol, and that version, bringing it to screen, is just flawless. So I'm a big fan of that. And then we have one more, which I don't know if counts as a movie, but I'm going to throw it in the list anyway, which is Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Of course. Yes, of course, yeah.
Yes. We watch that one all the time, and I get choked up every time Linus actually gives the true meaning of Christmas in that simple 24-minute episode of Peanuts. So those are our Christmas movie traditions, is those three.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown is so ubiquitous, I did not even write it down. That's and that's a failure. You kind of look over the things that are that are always there and ever present, but of course we've watched that, and it's sweet and special, and it's a perfect distillation of what Christmas means, should mean to folks in the 20th century, and it's 21st century. 20th century when it was made, 21st century as I have been told that it is now. But yeah, of course it's you know what I mean, like you just kind of everybody, it's like, oh, of course, I didn't think about it. They'd be like saying, hey, I got up this morning and I had a drink of water. Like, well, yeah, most people do that. No, it's really important to drink at least once during the day. It's kind of how.
Well, something that's interesting is for us and for people our age, it's ubiquitous. But I mean, nobody has network TV anymore. And so that was the way I was introduced to it as a child, which is it was just always on. You couldn't flip a channel without coming across it at some point. And I fear like those types of things will be lost. And I shouldn't fear, because those types of things will be lost. I mean, that's just the way the world works and the passing of time and whatnot. And, back in the 1940s, you can pull up podcasts made back then of people saying, oh, I hope that this thing won't ever be lost. And we have no clue what it is. So that's just the march of time. But, I think that as long as we can save the peanuts, we should. That's worth saving.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, good Christmas movie traditions. As we continue on in our holiday episode, I've got one piece of listener mail that I wanted to bring to you. It's perhaps not holiday, not Christmassy, but I bet it's going to be a festive story because it makes no dang sense to me, and I'm looking to you, Dave, for an explanation. But this is a piece of listener mail from our David Bowie episode, part 2, and it is from NT Kalitu 9639. I probably butchered that YouTube name, but those are not legal identification anyway, so it doesn't matter. He says, "It was nice meeting you in the Cheesecake Factory bathroom. It was cool. I wore my David Bowie t-shirt." Now, Dave, I have not been to a Cheesecake Factory in many years, so help me out here.
Well, I mean, sure, but have you been to a Cheesecake Factory bathroom? I feel like maybe are you giving one of those lawyered up answers?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, so yes, about a month back or so, I was at a Cheesecake Factory in another town. We don't have those in this ours little towns, but and I did run into someone in the bathroom wearing a David Bowie T-shirt. I said, "Hey, nice T-shirt." Hey, and I said, "My podcast just did." We didn't shake hands, by the way. You do not do that in the bathroom. I said, "Hey, my podcast just did a series on Bowie," and I told him what the podcast was. Oh, he said, "That's great. I'll check it out." And I thought, hey, and I've said that to people, and they usually say, "Oh, that's great. I'll check that out," and usually kind of just blow me off or laugh on their way out. But no, this fellow was very nice that he actually did check it out and left a note. So there's nothing weird about asking people to listen to your podcast in a Cheesecake Factory bathroom. And frankly, I'm offended that you would even imply that the story was strange.
I did not insinuate anything. I was just asking to fill in the blanks as to what the story was, and you did that admirably. So thank you for that. And I'm most impressed that not only did he check it out, but sent us a letter.
Sure.
So that's fantastic.
He probably did that just so he could say, "Glad I rented you the Cheesecake Factory bathroom," to really kind of embarrass me. But no, this is going to, we've been talking about how do we market the podcast, and now I'm like, well, I'm just going to talk about it in the bathroom. Every bathroom I go into. Hey, I don't even, I'm just going to have to find, first of all, we're going to need to do a bathroom episode. That's going to be the sort of the entree into that conversation. So you're using a bathroom. My podcast did an episode about, we just happened to be in one. My podcast did an episode about the best bathrooms in North America. You should check that out. And then, security comes and gets me and whacks me over the head, and I'm banned. I'm banned from the Cheesecake Factory, just as I have been banned from like the Bose store, for example. Check that episode out if
the Bose
brand loyalty. Episode. I believe we talk about.
Yeah, we did. In fact, yeah. Well, I think that in all of our marketing efforts going forward, awkward is the name of the game. The more awkward we can make all of our marketing pieces,
definitely,
the more successful they will be.
Hey, listen, I mentioned Tim Heideck earlier. It works for Tim and Eric. It works for pretty much anyone in that Adult Swim universe orbiting that type of comedy. Maybe we should give it a shot.
Maybe. Awkward episodes forthcoming. All right. One more piece of banter before we get to our topic today. And this was just an interesting experience that I had this last week that I thought factored in really well with our ongoing digital versus physical debate that we always have on this podcast and have pretty much ever since it started. But I had an experience where a video game came out, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Don't know if you've heard of it. Yes. But that video game came out, and I finally hit that point in every PC gamer's life where your PC no longer meets the minimum specs required for a video game. So I was like, I'm bummed about that. I do not have an Xbox Series X, so couldn't play it that way. And they are being very cagey about whether they're going to release it on PS5. So I was like, I'd really like to check this game out, but I have no way of doing it without dropping a whole bunch of money right before the holidays. So I was looking around online reading about the game, and I discovered that if I subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate, I could stream the game through my browser.
Yeah.
And I thought, let's give this a shot. And so that is how I am playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through the game so far, and it has been flawless. It has been a flawless experience. Connecting, loading the game. I plugged my Xbox controller into my computer. It obviously recognized it immediately. Streaming it over the internet. It's responsive. I've had zero problems. I thought, well, maybe this is just one of those types of games where you don't have to worry about lag. You don't have to be as reactive. So I loaded up a racing game over Xbox Game Pass streaming. Again, flawless experience. I'm very impressed with this technology, and it is maybe the biggest argument I've personally come across for digital over physical, because I'm not bound to what my hardware can do.
No.
I'm not even bound to my hardware. I could stream this on my phone if I wanted to. All I have to do is plug in a controller. So I'm pretty impressed. Now, the library that you can stream online is not the greatest. If they could keep dumping into that and really become like the Netflix of games, then I think Microsoft has a huge win on their hands. But I was very impressed, and I've tried some of the old streaming technology before, like NVIDIA's service and things like that. None of them have been as seamless. None of them have been as flawless in their performance. So I gotta say, this is really rocking my world here. Kudos to Microsoft, and what a great situation for me to find myself in and get to play this game that I wanted to play.
Yeah, cloud gaming or streaming gaming. I mean, it feels like in terms of gaming that's the ultimate expression of digital versus physical, because there isn't even the pretense of license or ownership, right? Listen, the technology. Glad to hear that it's working better. The last time I tried any kind of cloud gaming was a couple of years ago, and it wasn't fantastic, but I've heard good things. Actually, have been considering trying Luna, but I'm not sure. If the game selection is good enough for me to try. I need to look into it a little bit more. But yeah, it is. It's kind of that ultimate expression, and if they start winning, folks like you over, then they really, they're certainly making the best possible case for that. But yeah, the end stage of the digital versus physical argument in favor of digital is that total streaming, pure subscription type, where your hardware is nothing but the thin client. It's the window that looks into the cloud. I'm glad to see the experience getting better, and it frees you from the constraints of hardware. I'm very glad to hear that. I am surprised that a AAA game is playing that well. So, have you tried Luna?
No, I have not. In fact, this experience with Game Pass is really the only thing because everything else I just tried when it was released, and by then I'd tried like 3 different services, and then Luna came out. And I was like, I don't need to try another one, And Google Stadia before was the best experience I'd had, but that did not have a good ending. And so then this one, I wasn't interested in cloud gaming. I just didn't think, well, it's not for me. I'm a Grey Cart kind of person. But the fact that I wanted to play this game and did not have the means to do it quickly without a huge outlay of cash made me say, you know what, I'm gonna drop $20 and give this a shot. And hey, it's worked out. And the game has performed really well. I'm still concerned about, like, if we're projecting into the future, I'm still concerned about preservation, because like one thing that really bugs me is, at any point they apply a patch and then suddenly the original version of the game is gone.
Sure.
Like that concerns me. But for this, and for just me wanting to experience the game and get the story of this Indiana Jones property, it's been a perfect solution.
But enough generations go by and the concept of preservation won't even really exist. It'd be like, preserve what? So like, well, that version, like, wait, but that got changed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when we talk about, like, I've got to record my programs. Like, record your kids, like, it would just go out and get it and watch it. Just on the on demand concept. It's not a perfect analog, but I think that the point is that preservation makes sense because we see it as something to preserve. But I think that the digital world in a future state, it's going to always be in a state of evolution, and you might look back on something like that more as just being old and not being something to preserve. Think about, here's an idea. I don't like pine over Android 4.0, right? I'm not like, or an older one, Cupcake. I'm not thinking, oh man, I got to preserve that, and I'm going to use that. And, it's not, right? Everyone is an improvement, and you want that.
That is an excellent analogy, but I will say that I have enough mental problems. I do pine over like old versions of macOS.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I totally do. And so I think you're right culturally that we will get to a point where the idea of preservation is so vastly different that it doesn't matter. Me personally, I think I will be dead and gone before that happens. I don't see me changing that much in what is left of my life. But that's just me. But anyway, we can save that for another digital versus physical episode.
Well, speaking of preservation, let's preserve the clarity of our vision and get to our episode, our big sort of year in recap, best of 2020. Let me check. 4.
Yes, let's do it. So as Dave alluded to, we are doing kind of a yearly wrap-up, a best of 2024, and I'm sure that a lot of the media you guys are consuming right now is doing a similar thing, right? Like, it's kind of the thing to do in Podcastville and that sort of stuff, but in true two middle-aged guys fashion, we're doing it a little bit differently. We've got some ideas that we have that we want to pitch to each other as what was the best blank of 2024, except that Dave doesn't know what my lists are, and I don't know what Dave's lists are. So we're going to be doing a lot of off the cuff, a lot of strange things, maybe not your typical best of 2024 ideas. But with that, Dave, why don't you start us off?
All right, well, I thought I would start. I don't know if folks have listened to the show for a while. We talk about movies every once in a while. So I thought I would throw out, this is not the best movie of 2024, but I'm talking the best theater experience. Didn't get to see a ton of movies in the theater, but I did see quite a few. So I thought I would lay out what I thought was my best overall theater experience, maybe colored by the quality of the popcorn that I enjoyed while I was there. But I felt like I think this one is going to surprise you a little bit, but I felt like the most fun, best overall experience where I was like, oh man, I'm glad I came to the movies to watch this, is when my son and I went to see Alien Romulus. And I'm not going to say it's a good movie, sure. But I'm not going to say it's like a great movie. It should be on everybody's top 3 of the year. But it was a great movie to watch in the theater with the sound, with the tension, with the sort of the creepy crawliness of the alien. I love space stuff, and that always I think is improved by a big screen experience. And I just had a blast with that movie in that setting, and I don't think I would have enjoyed it, particularly on the first viewing, as much. If I hadn't seen it in the theaters. I think it really enhanced the experience.
All right. Well, good example. No complaints. I thought Romulus was a good film. We've talked about that before. And I think it's always special anytime you get to go and see a movie with a member of your family and have that bonding experience. So, excellent idea. My best theater experience of 2024 is kind of surprising because I'm not a super huge fan of the movie. But I will say it was an excellent theatrical experience, and that is Dune Part 2. I enjoy, even though I had problems with that movie, it is a spectacle.
It is.
The sound of that film is incredible, and that is not something I could have even come close to replicating in my home. So I was glad that I got to experience that theatrically, and that's my pick for best theatrical experience in 2024.
Well, I totally agree. I saw that. I totally agree in the sense that it was a great movie in the theater. I saw that in the theaters as well in opening weekend. It's actually on my next item on the list, the best movie of the year. I do believe is Dune 2, and I know that it's not perfect, but it's quite good. And it actually, in my view, on repeat viewings at home, has improved. And I've seen some of the nuance and some of the really, when it comes down to a lot of it is the performances are so good that I can forgive some of the story mistakes, which we've beaten literally to death. But the performances, particularly Austin Butler's performance as Fade, is so good that I do appreciate it even more. But I do think it really is the best movie of 2024. I don't think 2024 was a great year for movies. So, I mean, I think that also plays into it a little bit. But that being said, it is an excellent movie, and I've come to appreciate it more. Still, overall, I have a slight preference, just a slight hair's preference for the original. and I still haven't been able to divine whether that is, whether nostalgia is putting the weight on the thumb, or excuse me, the thumb on the weight of that film. That was just a bad turn of phrase. I was really trying for something artistic there. I don't know if it's just nostalgia that's making me feel that way. Yeah. I fear that it might be a bit. But that being said, I really do appreciate Dune 2, and I think it is superior in many ways, very much superior to the first one, to the first Dune Part 1, not the original 84.
Okay, yeah. So that was going to be my question, because when you say your preference for the original, you mean 84.
I mean 84, the Lynch version. Mm-hmm. I mean, this Dune Part 1 and Part 2 is really, I get it, it's two movies, but it's one story, right? There's it was broken up into two movies because it really is the best way to tell this story. It's just simply too big of a story to tell.
I would disagree with just about everything you said.
All right, well, that's good. Good day, sir.
Well,
I said good day.
Podcast is over. Okay. Yeah. I've seen Dune 2 multiple times. I'm still not a fan of it. I don't think it's great. I think Dune Part 1 is great. And that kind of makes my frustration with Dune Part 2 even greater, because I think Dune Part 1 is a near perfect film. I mean, it is so good, and it fires on just about every level. I prefer 84 Dune as well. So I'm not going to say Dune Part 2 was the best film of 2024. I do agree wholeheartedly that 2024 was not a great film year. And we're going to flip-flop, because I'm going to say my favorite film of 2024 actually was Alien Romulus.
Wow, that's so strange how that worked out.
Yeah. So, which is, again, I think more of a statement on the bar of 2024 as opposed to how great Romulus is, because Romulus is not flawless by any stretch of the imagination.
You really think Romulus is better than Dune 2?
I do. I really do.
Okay. All right. Listen, hey, it's certainly subjective, but,
Yeah, I'm going to stick by that, because I have some pretty big hang-ups with Dune Part 2, and Romulus, I will say part of it was an expectation situation, right?
Sure.
I thought there's no way that Denis Villeneuve will screw this up, and then, in my opinion, somehow he did. So Romulus, on the flip side, I went in thinking this is going to be hot garbage, and I was treated to a very respectable, decent, well-done film. So I was thrilled, and looking back on... And I thought about this because best movie of 2024 was also on my list to fire off at you. So I went through, the IMDb list of every movie released in 2024 thinking, did I forget something? Is there anything
I did
out
some
there?
Similar things.
Yeah. I was like, is there anything out there I liked more than Alien Romulus? And no, there wasn't.
I ended up finding a lot of 2023 movies that I thought might have been out in 20. Like, no.
Yeah,
that's
not that one. Oh, not that one either. Yeah. I get what you're saying. So, we flip-flopped on that one a little bit, but I'm going to give best film of 2024 to Alien Romulus, and I guarantee it will not be nominated for Best Picture.
No. So I'm going to, a similar vein, I'm going to throw this one at you. The best trailer or teaser trailer of 2024. I'll say what mine is, because I want to stay with. I wanted to get this in more of a current events type view. I really did enjoy the Superman teaser trailer that just literally came out, as of recording this yesterday. We've talked about it, in fact, I believe in our first episode or very early on, maybe it was the first episode, we talked about our concerns about James Gunn and Superman. At the time, it was called Superman Legends or what was it? Legacy was what it was called. Yeah. I still have a lot of those concerns, right? But that said, that teaser trailer is pretty darn good. You know what? I don't hate Crypto the Superdog. That super pet exists. All right. I mean, it says something about the world that this new DC world that he's creating. I loved the view of Mr. Terrific, and in particular, the bowl haircutted Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. That's great for comic book fans. That is a deep cut, and it is awesome to see that in live action. I think the Superman suit is absolutely awful. I still do. I think that is a very bad Superman suit. I think that he would have been wise to have taken the Cavill suit, lightened up the color palette to his liking, throw some red trunks on there, modify the symbol, but use that as a pattern. I think people would have been very satisfied. But what he's gone with the weird molding and kind of, I don't even really know what it looks like, like one of those like a tactical special ops type suit with I don't know. It's a very strange costume, and I was hoping in live action it would look better, and it looks a tiny bit better, but it still looks like it's ill-fitting, right? I don't know. But anyways, I actually enjoyed it, and it took me from a movie that I was going to see out of obligation in part now to I'm actually interested in watching it, and I will, and I hope James Gunn doesn't fart joke himself into a bad place with it, but we'll still see. Still cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I was not impressed with that teaser trailer.
I know.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this a little bit off of mic, but my biggest problem with the teaser trailer is there's a huge tone issue. And you talked about Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and the Crypto, the Superdog, especially. To me, all of these things are very much, comic booky, campy, like that kind of tone. And the trailer, with its very serious music and the fact that it starts off with Superman, bleeding and beaten to death on the ground, and then the dog comes up. To me, those are at odds with each other. Am I supposed to take this as like a super dramatic? And then you had all the shots of the crowd of people turning on Superman and throwing garbage at him and stuff like that.
Where did he get that idea from?
I have no idea.
Maybe, but certainly not from Man of Steel.
No,
that's a terrible movie. No one would ever be inspired in any way by that. In fact, it's actually anti-inspiration because it's so dark and mean-spirited.
Exactly. So that. I don't understand how those two things coexist in this film. And to me, tone is one of the most important things you have to nail, especially for a comic book movie. So I'm really nervous about it. I'm going to wait for your review before I decide.
All right. So I will say tone I would expect to be set in a trailer. But for a teaser, what I was looking for was like a visual impression. What does this world look like? And I felt like I got a sense of what this world looks like. So I think that I do see the conflict which you present, right? He's got a cute super puppy, and Superman's also been beaten down by something. He didn't just trip and fall into the snow. But I did get a very solid look at the visuals of this world in a way that doesn't tell me anything about what it's about, unless it's like a bad haircut experience. It's a Supercut starring Guy Gardner, very angry about his terrible haircut. But I got the visual here's what this world looks like, and it looks kind of neat. So yeah, sure, I'm going to give it a shot. Cautiously optimistic.
All right, we'll see how that works out. So I have a strange answer for my favorite teaser trailer of 2024.
Oh, by the way, I only brought that up so I could talk about Superman trailer.
I know you. You
go
did,
ahead.
Yeah. But you're making me come up with an answer as well, because I can't just segue to the next thing.
You don't get paid if you don't do this.
Of course. I have my contract. I have to abide by it. So my favorite teaser trailer of 2024 was actually the second trailer for the Minecraft movie.
Oh, that was a good trailer.
It was a great trailer. I mean, and I especially loved that they kind of made the call out at the beginning where they're like, Minecraft trailer take two, since the first trailer was such a disaster. Bad. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible. And I don't understand the business side of Hollywood, why when you saw that first trailer you wouldn't be like, let's not release this. Is this
I don't
the
understand. Reel for your trailer? Right. It was like not only is that a great trailer, it's like the best comeback, right? Where you went from zero negative interest in a film to I'm interested in seeing it. I'll take my
I am
kids.
Too. Exactly the same. So not only is it a great comeback trailer, that it did an excellent job of that, but it's also genuinely a good trailer and one that makes me want to see the film. And it does not look like the film is going to be a dumpster fire. So that's exciting. So that's my favorite trailer of 2024, Minecraft second take.
That is a great pick. It maybe that is better than the Superman teaser, but if nothing, just for the story, right, of the redemption And I do like Jared Hess an awful lot, so I'm rooting for him, right?
Yes.
I'm rooting
Yeah,
for
agreed.
that whole cast. I'm like, oh, I want them to have a successful film. That movie has been in development for a decade, and I followed it very closely when Rob McElhaney from I think I'm saying McElhaney, I don't know how to say it, and from It's Always Sunny was attached to it as the original developer, and years, and then he just walked away from it, or was, I don't know, and then another director was attached. And it's interesting that such a big property took that long. But yeah, that's a great choice.
All right, well, good. Well, I'm going to throw one out at you, and I'm going to take us out of the movie genre.
All right.
And into something that's a little bit more middle-aged guy kind of topic. And I hope this doesn't cause you too much thought, but what was your favorite Costco or likewise wholesale club purchase in 2024?
Well, I spend a lot of time in Costco. And Sam's. We're one of those people who, I should stop and say, our little town, the area that we live in, not big, but we do have one Costco and two Sam's. Costco's relatively new. So, that's really, I would say the cultural centers of the area we live are the Costco's and Sam's. and I go a lot. I love both of those places. I particularly love Costco. There's just always something neat there, right? I use my main credit card is a Costco Visa card where you earn points where I think we're going to get like a $300 gift card for Costco at the end of the year, and like, oh, let's go to Costco and buy a truckload of pretzels or whatever it is you get, right? I mean, it's just, but I do love Costco. I will say, boy, this is actually tough because I can think of several things. But I'm going to go with, I bought a new TV from Costco. I bought a 75-inch Sony. My TV died earlier in the year, and I did replace it. And I had never owned. In the modern age, post CRT, a Sony television, and I'd always gone with Samsung or one of the other brands, and it is absolutely a fantastic TV, and I really enjoyed just the process of shopping for it and price checking, and I got a great deal on it. I got a 5-year warranty from Costco, and it just came built into the price. So, but yeah, I mean, I've got many little tiny purchases. I'm always getting something good at Costco. Pretty confident I'm wearing something from Costco right now.
Yeah, that's a fair bet on my end too. But I'll say my favorite Costco purchase. I'm cheating a little bit because technically my son bought it. He has a Costco membership separate from me and cherishes that, and so he's excited to have it entered into that level of adultness, I guess.
Does he like hold it over you? Like, you can't get in there without me, Dad.
He used to, and then he put me on his account.
Oh, he did. All right.
Yeah, so now I can get in.
And they are
him.
strict about that. Holy cow!
Oh yes, they
Holy
are.
cow! All right, yeah, I'm not even going to go into it, but let's just say that
no.
my wife has been stopped at the door many times because, like, I went to the return section real quick and walked back, and she's like, "You saw us here together." Well, he's got to be here with the car. They are absolutely strict. If you can check on Reddit and read it, there's tons of stories where people are like.
Yes.
It's like trying to get out of East Germany is this is what it's like trying to get into a Costco. Sorry, go
Very
ahead.
true, very true. So, but my son made a Costco purchase, and stay with me on this. This bears some explanation. He bought a Kohler branded trash can.
All right. Yep.
And the reason this is my favorite Costco purchase of 2024 is because, gosh darn it, Kohler as a company is so good at industrial design.
Yeah.
And I have a soft spot in my heart for really good industrial design. Like, if you can make something that is beautiful and useful and makes my life easier, you've got my money. Just take it. I'm happy to. And I love Kohler's marketing because if you look at any Kohler ad, whether they're advertising a sink or a toilet or a trash can, and it's got that tagline, "The bold look of Kohler," I'm just like, if they can market this stuff so effectively, you could sell anything to anybody for any reason. Because as long as you've got the marketing chops to do it, and they blow me away as a company. So every time I go to throw something away, and I push that handle and the lid comes up so smooth and beautiful, and it's like the stainless steel veneer finish, I'm thrilled. I'm happy.
Out middle-aged me, sir.
That was my goal.
Cap to you. My cat. Get the kitty over here. I want to tip it credit Chris because he has done an excellent job.
All right, very good.
That's
What's your
very
next one?
middle age. And Bowler does or Kohler does make Bowler. Oh, the bold look of Kohler. Let's just call it Bowler.
The bowler effect.
The Bowler,
yes.
the Bowler effect. They do make nice stuff. We have our kitchen faucet is a Kohler. And I think we actually bought it at Costco as well. A few years back. All right. I'm going to bring us back to the world of movies just real quick.
Sure.
And then we can move on from that.
Sure.
But I do think that you can't have a discussion of the best without having a discussion of the worst, right? To set bounds. And it's the only bad thing I have on this list. But let's say the worst movie of 2024 that I finished. Now, I'm going to admit there are worse movies that I did not finish. And I can think of one, and I will say that the worst movie that I'm pretty confident had we invested the additional hour 10 or whatever, that the new Christmas movie Dear Santa with Jack Black.
Oh, yeah.
It's on streaming. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I've heard of the movie, but I haven't watched it.
It's called Dear Santa, and it's about a young man with a disability, dyslexia, who writes a letter to Santa, but he accidentally spells it Satan. So Jack Black as Satan gets the letter and shows up, and as does usually follow when Satan arrives, hilarity ensues, and he and his family are condemned to an everlasting eternal punishment. No, Jack Black shows up and it's supposed to be funny. We watched it for 20 minutes. Jack Black was nowhere near to be seen. The letter, I don't even think had been delivered yet, so it's kind of like setting up this kid's ultra boring world. I guess having the devil show up probably would have brought some excitement into his life, but that was a terrible movie. But that said, I didn't finish it, so it doesn't count. What does count, and I know I'm probably going to sound like I'm piling on here, but I did finish this movie, took 3 settings, and that is Joker 2. This is as bad a movie as what you may have heard, and I am not like just trying to sound like in just another voice in the crowd or going along with everybody else. Nor am I going to try to subvert expectations and say, "Oh, it's genius. You just didn't understand it." Boy, do I ever hate that argument? It wasn't for you. You didn't get it. It's just subjectively bad and boring. I would describe it as this. Chris, do you like your musicals with bad songs sung poorly? Do you like that?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Not what I'm looking for.
Do you like your courtroom dramas without drama?
Going to say no again.
All right, the Joker 2 is not for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But if
okay.
you're one of those super smart folks that really gets it and you like those two things, really, really bad songs sung absolutely with the least possible energy. Lady Gaga, I know she does try her best, but when you have just given up because none of it makes sense and you don't care, and then the courtroom, which is just awful, and then when the film just is, it's just poor. I think it was spiteful, frankly. I think they gave Todd Phillips a ton of money to and freedom, and he did not like. He felt like, I think, and you can read this in interviews with him. I think that he felt like people liked his first movie for the wrong reasons. Like they were, the Joker's not a hero and all this stuff. And no, of course the Joker's not a hero. And I like the original Joker, but I never thought he was a hero. That was a good movie about mental illness. And then, when he just absolutely just takes it in a direction that's just, I'm not offended by it in the sense that like, you ruined my Joker. He wasn't my Joker. You just made a really, really bad movie and wasted my time but I do think that not only did he waste my time, he wasted about $200 million of WB's money. And I think he's going to be in director jail for a long time. I think he and Josh Trank will probably be filming like car commercials for local car lots or something. I really think that he's not going to be trusted with a budget. Maybe not ever. I mean, I think that this is going to get him in trouble. But boy, and I know you have not seen it.
No.
It is. And forget about the direction of the movie in terms of the story. Forget about the direction of the character and Arthur and his arc and maybe not liking where it goes. Just like on subjective terms, it's a $200 million movie that looks like it probably should have cost about $30 million. That will bore the absolute life out of you. So yeah, that's it. And a best of episode, I felt like maybe just I should test bounds and do a one worst of to at least give you a sense of where we are.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I struggle with what was the worst movie of 2024 for me, because a lot of things that I think would naturally be on that list I did not see. So like I didn't.
I mean,
see
usually you
Joker
don't
2.
seek out bad movies, but I did force myself to, even after the reviews, watch Joker 2 fully.
Right.
A dues? I don't know. And now, you know what? Let's not give it the respect of trying to pronounce his name properly.
Yes. No. This is a stretch calling this a movie, but can I choose Star Wars: The Acolyte?
Well, sure. I mean,
Okay,
you know what?
great.
That's the worst of streaming television. I mean, I'm sure there's something worse, but we did watch all of it, so we would know. And yeah, I'm still kind of hurting from that. Like not emotionally, but physically.
It was rough.
Yeah, still nauseous.
And if you want to know why that's my pick, guess what? We did a couple of podcast episodes about it. So go back and check those out. So I'll pick that as my least favorite of 2024.
Can I roll into another TV topic?
Yes, you can.
Best TV, streaming, or traditional? I'm going to hit you with something that I know you're. This is not up your alley.
Okay.
I have I kind of like some reality TV, and there is one show that I love, and it's called 1,000-Pound Sisters, and it's not about 13, 14 sisters of normal weight. Just want to give you it's about two sisters of abnormal weight, right? So
right.
Very full-figured ladies who at the start of the show, following them, weigh roughly 400 and 600 pounds each. And it's just this really interesting show about a family. It becomes about a family in Kentucky that are significantly overweight and unhealthy, and they have weight loss surgeries, and they transform their health and their life. But they're really, really funny sort of hillbilly-ish people, right? And I don't say that in a demeaning way, because I am a hillbilly myself, right? I live in the Ozark Hills, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I live like on an Ozark Hill in a town called Ozark. So this is said with respect and admiration that they're hillbillies. They're Appalachian folks from the hollers of Kentucky. And it's a really entertaining show, watching people trying to transform their lives, the challenges of that, some things about generational poverty, education. And it's also just fun and funny, and they get into weird, wacky stuff. Also, I generally think most reality TV, and I do watch a little bit of it, is completely set up and fake. But this actually captures a lot of very real stuff that has real world consequences. And if you follow it on Reddit, you can read about, this actually happened. People observed it. Police were called, right? Like, so it is a maybe too real. Like, you wonder, like, man, am I watching should I call the FBI? Like, they're fighting again, and this could turn into a situation. But no, I do. I've watched some TV this year. The aforementioned Acolytes, some streaming shows. But I gotta say and I've watched some other reality shows, and I won't get into that. But the 1,000-Pound Sisters. If you like trash reality TV, particularly those with a weight sort of element to it, check out 1,000-Pound Sisters. I think you'll find it funny and charming and just kind of odd. I don't know. Maybe you won't, and if you don't blame me. Don't find me. Don't hunt me down in a Cheesecake Factory bathroom. You guys know I hang out in Cheesecake Factory bathroom. What that email didn't say was that I was sitting in a lawn chair in that bathroom, just greeting everyone that came by, making comments about their T-shirts. That was left out, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, All right. So speaking of funny and charming, that's the direction I'll go with my favorite streaming or television series of 2024. And I love the title of this because it's so antithetical to what we're talking about. But the title of the show I'm going to pick is called Nobody Wants This. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was a Netflix produced show. starring Kristen Bell, and the elevator pitch for it, and I do have this pulled up on the internet, my memory's not that good, but the elevator pitch is: an agnostic sex podcaster and a newly single rabbi fall in love, but can their relationship survive their wildly different lives and meddling families? And that does not sound like the kind of show that you would necessarily want to watch, but it is one of the most charming, enjoyable, romantic comedies I've ever seen. And it is absolutely a phenomenal season of television. Now, I do throw out a caveat to this because it has been renewed for season 2, different showrunner, and season 1 ends on a cliffhanger. So it could go south, like especially it being a different showrunner. Like they could totally screw up season 2. But season 1 was a fantastic 8 or 9 episodes of television. My wife and I devoured the whole thing in a weekend. We both thoroughly enjoyed it. We laughed many times. It is a sweet, sweet story. And how can you not like Kristen Bell? So there you go. That was my best of 2024.
It's so weird. We both brought shows to this that no one would have guessed that we were watching. I think.
That's true. Yeah.
Reality TV gets your hooks in. It gets its hooks into you, right? I'm going to actually check that out. I'm kind of interested. What's going to happen in the second season though? They're going to, there's so many couples like that. The agnostic sex podcaster and the rabbis. I mean, there's just the world's lousy with them. They're going to find a couple others. They won't be as interesting. They'll dilute the whole thing, and then everybody will be copying that formula. And,
of course. Well, there's so many shows about that exact thing. So,
that's so interesting. Go ahead.
Nope, I was just going to say it was a really enjoyable show. You go ahead.
Super quick one here. Best song of 2024. And I was like, well, this is easy. This is just, it's obviously Atomic City by U2.
Was that 2024?
No, it wasn't. It was 2023. And then I realized that I have not listened to any new music in a year. And I think, while I give you that your praise of the Kohler trash can was the best middle-aged thing ever, I would say that that is a close number 2 when the band from last year, you're like... that song of U2, and that might have been like one of 3 new songs I listened to last year as well. So, so I got but I will say this, right? The best music I rediscovered in 2024, our Doors podcast brought me back into the Doors. So I appreciate that, and so that would be that. Do you have new music in 2024 that you can point to?
When you threw that topic out, I thought, I don't have a good answer for this. It's no secret that I'm a massive Pet Shop Boys fan. They did release a new album in 2024, so that's probably the bulk of the new music I picked up this year. I'm struggling to think if there's anything else.
Pet Shop Boys, who are they fooling? They are firmly in the Pet Shop men.
Oh yeah, now. The pet shop senior citizens,
right?
In fact, So, but
I hope that Pet Shop paid well. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to retire. They're going to struggle.
I mean, some people choose to work until they're dead. So there you go. But anyway, it'd probably be something from that album that I would pick. I'm struggling to think if there's anything else. I listen to old stuff. Like discovering new music is challenging for me.
It is. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
And when I let like Amazon Music, when I let it try to pick for me, it's like it's never, it's always bad, right? Because based on it's not like their AI is not smart enough. It's just that based on the things that I like, there's nothing new that lines up with it, right? So I truly have aged out. This world it no longer is recognizable to me in terms of music, right? So.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's only like when the Stones or U2 release a new single,
or the Killers,
right.
It's basically the sort of nostalgia bands discovering anything new. I don't know. Maybe I should get into Doja Cat and Charlie XCX.
And my point is not that there isn't good modern music. It's just that I don't discover it. Like I have no means of being exposed to it. So I would like to change that going forward, but I haven't quite figured out the proper mechanism to use to make that happen.
I genuinely believe there is no good modern music.
Well, all right.
I am probably being, I'm overstating it. It'd be silly, but I don't think there's much. I'll say that.
All right, maybe. I don't know. I would like to dip my toe into that a little bit more. Maybe that'll be a goal for 2025 for me. All right, I'm going to throw one at you. And I think that, just looking at the clock, we should probably start winding this down a little bit. But I do want to hit this one, which is, what was your favorite of our podcast episodes in 2024?
Well, that was the one I had down to hit next, too.
No kidding.
Yeah,
right.
I think that this is really easy, right? I think there are two that stand out, and I'm going to name them together because I think that that's what it deserves. Our conversations with author, comedian, writer, and producer Connor Listoka, and our conversation with Mike Nelson of Mystery Science Theater and Riff Tracks. Those are high points. Great conversations. They made for just, stepping outside myself and listening. They were good episodes because Mike and Connor are such good guests and just so naturally funny. They made it work. Those are at the top for me.
Those are great choices. And I could have predicted that that's what you were going to say when you started off. They absolutely deserve to be the favorite podcast episodes of the year, but I did not pick them just because I knew you would, and so that they would have that representation. Another one that I think was fantastic, I did not pick. I think our Twin Peaks episode was phenomenal.
It was great.
Massive. Yeah, it covered everything that you could possibly cover about Twin Peaks. So I'm really proud of that one. But the one that my favorite episode, the one I'm most proud of, is rewriting Star Wars: The Acolyte.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I'm proud of that one, and a little behind the scenes talk, folks, I pushed for that episode, and Dave was even like, I don't know about this, and I was like, no, we need to do this.
And the way we structured it, right? And if you listened to it at the time, we were like, we watched the last episode, and then we had to come in and record. There was like 10 minutes. Yeah. So, I mean, you had to go in and kind of on the fly adjust whatever you were thinking to what you saw to make sure that it was still, not just at a whole cloth, that there was still some connection to what was presented. It was a challenge. It was why I was hesitant was because it was hard and I am lazy. So,
well, the reason it meant so much to me is I really, from a personal perspective, have a very strong feeling that if I'm going to criticize something, like, I need that to be fair.
Sure.
Right. And so for me, going on and on about how much I disliked the show and all the problems I had with it, I felt like I had to put my money where my mouth was and present something of mine so that people could either say, yeah, okay, you know what, this guy knows what he's talking about and I agree with him, or could say, you know what, yours sucks too, buddy, and be quiet. And to me, having that option out there it was very important, and I'm glad that we did it. I'm proud of it. Unfortunately, we didn't get much feedback from listeners about, yeah, we liked your stuff. No, we didn't like your stuff. I'd love to hear some of that if anyone's out there with opinions and thoughts. But even if nobody ever does say anything about that, I'm very proud of that episode. And so that's the one I'm going to pick for my favorite podcast episode of the year.
It was fun. It was challenging. It's a good choice. I will give, if you don't mind, a runner-up to Mike and Connor, which I do think deserve that honor to be the best. And it was, I should say, talking to those guys, not only was it fun, not only do we think it made great podcasting, they're super nice and gracious, genuinely. Mike and I traded emails afterwards, and he, just a super nice guy. Connor mentioned us on their podcast, 372 pages, which is a fantastic podcast. I will say that, it was kind of an honor. It was really an honor to talk to them. I mean, I've been fans for years, with Mike decades. So, it was a big deal. But I will say I had a lot of fun, and I think maybe there's a little bit of recency bias here. But Alien was a lot of fun for me. I pressed for that one, right? So you pressed for Acolyte, I pressed for Alien. I do have a love for that franchise. I loved prepping for it. I loved being able to watch Prometheus over and over. My wife's objections, but no, it's for the podcast. She's like, you don't get paid for that. You pay for that. Why are you watching Prometheus over and over? Because I like Prometheus. Okay, fine, you got me. I don't need to see this. I basically got the movie memorized, but I did as an also ran honorable mention. Alien was
and it was a great episode. It was a fun episode. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well, I think that's 2024. I mean, that's what boils down to, those are certainly the most important things. Nothing else occurred in the world that even comes close to the things we've talked about today that I can think of. So here's to hoping for a good 2025.
Yeah, I think for 2025, as shows do as they mature, we should bring in like a young nephew, like an Oliver on the Brady Bunch or something.
Yeah,
like sort of mix up the cast, and that's when you know you kind of maybe down the downhill
I mean, for
stretch.
season 3, that seems a little early.
Yeah, it does seem a little early, but there's a lot of episodes in our season, so you know I think it kind of balances out.
So really, we're like in season 7 of a normal show. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of like that, yeah. Of a normal modern show where they don't seem to hardly make any episodes because each one costs $1 trillion and they can't afford to do that. Oh, it was a great 2024.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to 2025. I'm looking forward to all of our topics. And I've even got a few that I'll share with you later, some ideas bouncing around in my head. So I think it's going to be amazing. I hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful New Year's, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for listening.